Welcome to Navigating the Customer Experience. Want to improve your organization's customer service? Looking for insider tips to knock your customer socks off? Then you're in the right place. Here's your host, Yannick Grant.
Welcome to Navigating the Customer Experience. On today's episode, we have with us Baer. And I am a very big fan of Jay's work. So I'm so excited that he's here today with us to share all of the knowledge and experiences that he has. So just to give you a brief overview of Jay, the CSP is the world's most retweeted person among digital marketers. He is a renowned business strategist, keynote speaker, and the New York Times bestselling author of 5 books, including Hug Your Haters, a must-have if you're in business. Jay has advised more than 700 companies since 1994, including Caterpillar, Nike, Allstate, the United Nations, and 32 of the Fortune 500. He is the founder of Convince and Convert, a strategy consulting firm that helps prominent companies gain and keep more customers through the smart intersection of technology, social media, and customer service. His Convince and Convert media division owns the world's #1 content marketing blog, the world's top marketing podcast, and many other education resources for business owners and executives. The creator of 5 multi-million-dollar companies, Jay is an active venture capitalist and technology advisor, as well as an avid tequila collector and certified barbecue judge. Whoa! So without further delay, welcome, Jay.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here. I should have been a rum collector. That's more of the Jamaican thing.
Yes.
I could have switched it just for you, but
yeah, when I saw that, I was like, oh, you're going to fit in beautifully in Jamaica.
It's going to be great.
All right, Jay, could you take maybe about 2 to 3 minutes and just share with our audience a little bit about yourself and your journey and how you got to where you are today?
So I started off in politics. I was a political consultant when I first came out of university and did that for a little while. And then I worked for a company in sort of regular marketing. And then I was a spokesman for the government for a very brief period of time. I did not like that job. And I almost accidentally, went to work for an internet company. Some friends of mine from university started the very first internet company in the state of Arizona in the U.S. And we were having some tequila one night and they said, this internet company that we started is getting kind of big and we don't know anything about marketing. And I said, well, that's fine, because when you say the word internet, I don't know what that word means. This was 1993. So a very long time ago, as internet time goes. And so I said, this sounds interesting though. And so I went to work there, and I've been involved in online marketing and online customer service now for almost 25 years. And so certainly have seen a lot of different things. I've started several different professional services companies. We help lots of big companies in my organization be better at online marketing and online customer service. And now I get to spend most of my time writing books and traveling around giving speeches. I can't complain. It's a good job for sure.
I can just imagine. Awesome. So what do you think is the difference? Do you think customer service has evolved over the last 25 years in terms of dealing with so much more contact?
Massively. It has totally changed, because for most of history, from caveman days, most of our interactions with customers were in private. They were either face-to-face, via a letter, via the telephone, or via email. And all of those are private interactions. Now, with the rise of social media, with review sites like Yelp and TripAdvisor and things like that, Google reviews, etc., and the explosion of discussion boards and forums, now more and more of our customer contact is in public. And that changes the dynamics of customer service considerably. It changes the value of customer service considerably. But the problem is most businesses haven't figured that out yet. Most businesses are still using a 1995 playbook to solve 2016 customer service issues. That's why I wrote Hug Your Haters, and that's why I'm doing the work that I'm doing now to help businesses understand customer service has been totally disrupted in the same way that marketing has been disrupted. And we talk about marketing disruption all the time. There's tons of books, several by me, tons of conferences, tons of blogs, tons of podcasts about marketing disruption, but there is comparatively very little conversation about customer service disruption, and that's what we have to fix.
Yeah. How do you explain to the leaders in organizations that customer experience and customer service is directly linked to their bottom line? How do you get that message across?
The nice thing is there's lots of research on that point. There's a number of different research studies that show that even a 5% increase in customer retention can increase profits by 25 to 85%. That when you answer a customer, you don't even have to solve their problem. If you just answer their problem or answer their question or their complaint increases advocacy by 30 to 40%. I mean, there's literally dozens of studies to prove that relationship. But what we do in my company, actually on the consulting side, is we often will test it. So we'll say to a business that is perhaps apprehensive about increasing their spend on customer service, like, yeah, we're doing fine. I'm like, well, you're not actually doing fine, but if you think that. So what we'll do is we'll say, okay, here's the plan. We're going to take all of your customer contacts, phone, email, social media, etc. For half of the customers, we're going to treat them the way you've always treated them. And for the other half, we're going to treat them the way I think you should. And we're going to be more empathetic to those customers. We're going to be more human. We're going to not rely on outdated policies and find ways to say no, etc. We're just going to do, quote unquote, better customer service. And then we're going to measure how those customers feel about the company after they interact. So we'll send each customer a survey, and we'll say on a scale of 1 to 9 or 0 to 9 or what have you, how do you feel about the company now that you've had a customer service interaction? And we'll measure the difference. And we'll measure the difference between how you've handled customer service historically and how you could be handling customer service. And it will prove to you that it makes a difference.
Nice. I suppose when they see the raw data and the feedback, that gives them that wake-up call.
Absolutely. And the other thing that's really useful for executives is to show them how customer service is the new marketing. So today, if a customer has a really good customer service experience, they will talk about that. They'll talk about it in social media. They'll certainly say something to their friends in person. That's harder to measure, of course. But in social media in particular, all you have to do, like you could do this right now. Pause the podcast, okay? Just pause the podcast if you're listening right now. Go to Twitter and search "great customer experience" in quotes. And you'll see a stream of people tweeting about awesome customer service, customer experience scenarios that they've experienced. And so their friends see that, and the friend of their friends see that. And so all of a sudden now, people who may not even know the business are like, wow, those guys must be pretty fantastic. Next time I need to buy X, maybe I should think about them. Right.
And they're all doing business with that company based on what someone else said, the social proof.
That's right. Absolutely. And reviews are just as important, if not more so. Mm-hmm. I mean, the impact that reviews have on purchase consideration is crazy. It's in the US, it's above 80% of people trust ratings and reviews, and it drives a lot of purchase consideration. I mean, there's many, many people out there, I happen to be one of them, who won't buy hardly anything without looking at reviews first, because why would you? Like, why would you be like, well, I could see what a bunch of other people thought about this product or service, or I could just hope that I'm right.
Right.
It just seems like a bad way to spend your money. And so increasingly, people are using ratings and reviews to make decisions. And those ratings and reviews have a real impact on revenue. But yet a lot of companies don't even participate in ratings and reviews. They don't look at it. They don't track them. They don't answer them. They're just like, yeah, whatever. We don't care.
That is so true. So you wrote a book that is very, very strong bestseller, right? It's called Hug Your Haters: How to Embrace Complaints and Keep Your Customers. So I've always heard that complaints are a golden opportunity, and it's actually better for you to focus more on those persons who are complaining and less on the persons who are not complaining. So could you tell us a little bit about the book? What inspired you to actually do research and write the book? And why do you think companies, whether small, medium, or large, should hug their haters?
So I'm a marketer by background. I am not a customer service practitioner throughout my life. But in the marketing consulting that we do for big brands, we kept getting asked these kind of questions. Well, how should we balance our social media marketing with our social care? Who should manage that? If somebody says something on email, should we say the same thing on Twitter? It's all these questions that really pointed to this convergence of marketing and customer service. And I thought, geez, we really need to work on this, research it. And so I started off writing a book, and you might find this interesting. The original idea for the book was a totally different idea. In fact, the original title for the book was totally different. The original title for this book was Under an Hour. Under an Hour, because the premise, the whole concept was that speed is the most important factor in customer service today.
True.
That if you are faster, you're best. And so I thought, well, if I'm going to write a whole book about this, I should probably make sure that's accurate. So I conducted a huge research project, and I partnered with Edison Research, which is one of the largest research companies in the US. And we discovered that, yes, speed is really important, but it's not the most important thing. It turns out the most important thing is just answering your customers, which sounds pointlessly elemental, but it's not, because 1/3 of customer complaints are never answered.
True.
1/3. never answered. And so, yeah, it certainly helps to be fast. But the first thing you should do is just show up to the party, right? Is to actually answer. And as it turns out, per the research, the overwhelming majority of the customer complaints that are not answered are in social media and places like that. We almost always answer the phone. We almost always answer email. But when it comes to these things online, we tend to answer them every once in a while or never. And that's really ironic because those are the places that everybody can see, right? Those are the places where customer service is a spectator sport. It's in public. And so I changed the book from Under an Hour to Hug Your Haters to really emphasize the fact that we have to answer every customer in every channel every time. And we have lots of research in the book to prove that when you do that, it totally changes the way customers think about your business. That if you answer them, they love you. And if you don't answer them, they hate you. And so people who say, well, we don't need to reply to that are really doing their business a disservice.
Yes, indeed. You're just exciting me by speaking about all these things. I just find it so important. And it's so interesting that everyone that's a business owner, regardless of the size of your business, even if it's just you alone in the business, doesn't recognize how important satisfying and answering their customer is, because your customers are only calling you for two reasons, right? Either they have a complaint or they want to make a request. They're calling you for no other reason. Right.
Yeah, they're not going to be entertained.
I know.
That's not usually how that works. Here's the thing about that. So there's some research from the organization Bain. They're a consultancy. And Bain found that 80% of businesses say that they provide exceptional customer service. Not okay, exceptional customer. 80%. 8% of their customers agree. So you can see that there's this 8 out of 80. So you can see there's this massive difference of opinion between what businesses think is good customer service and what customers think is good customer service. And that's one of the reasons why more businesses don't put enough effort into customer service, because they think they're already doing a good job. In fact, every year worldwide, we spend about $500 billion on marketing and about $9 billion on customer service.
Wow.
Now, that's really out of balance, right? Like when you think about how important it is to keep the customers you've already earned, that's really underfunded, right? Customer service is chronically underfunded in almost every business because for generations, I mean, for a really long time, for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, customer service has primarily been a necessary evil and nothing more. But now that it's public and has more impact on purchases, I certainly hope that it will get the attention it deserves.
Yeah, that is so true. So true. Wow. This interview is awesome. So, Jay, in the book, you speak about hugging your haters. So the customer comes and they complain and they're extremely upset and, they're just at the point where I don't want to do business with you anymore. What are some of the things that companies need to be doing? So you said that the research shows that speed is not the most important thing. What are the elements or the strategies that the companies need to more be focused on?
Speed is definitely important. I don't want to make it sound like it's not important, because it's very important. In fact, speed of response is the most important thing on the telephone. In terms of customer satisfaction on the telephone, speed of response is the most important thing. So hold time, essentially. In fact, hold time is more important than truthfulness. Hold time is more important than politeness. So quite literally, I don't recommend this, but quite literally, you could lie to customers quickly and be better off than if you told them the truth slowly, at least in terms of the phone. So speed is important, but there's a lot of other really important things. One is, as mentioned, answering everybody, which is really the your haters approach, to answer every customer in every channel every time. But when you do that, you also have to answer with some degree of empathy. Like one of the things that is very, very challenging now, you get angry customers, and sometimes angry customers are complaining in public on Facebook or somewhere like that. And you're like, man, what is this guy's problem? Like, why is he being such a jerk? But it's very natural, especially for small businesses, to take negative customer feedback personally. If you're a small business owner and somebody says, I didn't like the restaurant or whatever, it's almost like somebody telling you that your baby is ugly, right? It's not a comfortable situation. And so that's why you see all these case studies of companies kind of lashing out at the customer, right? So, and then they get into this argument essentially online, and that's very counterproductive. And so it's really important to not take it personally and to answer the customer with empathy, because you know what? You don't know the actual story. all you see is this person's 2-sentence or 2-paragraph complaint, that person could be having the worst day in their life, and you just got caught in the crossfire. So you've got to make sure that you answer everybody with empathy, and I think also with humanity. I think by far the companies that are the best at customer service are those that allow their customer service front lines to treat people differently, to not use a script, to say, I'm going to be a little bit funny here, I'm going to be a little bit more emotional here, I'm going to use my first name so they know I'm a real person, not a representative of the company, and those kind of things, right? But that requires the business to actually trust the people on the front lines to deal with people at a human level as opposed to from a script.
Yeah, it's so important. So empathy is actually the human element, the fact that you're connecting with people on an emotional level.
Whether the company is at fault or not, I mean, sometimes it is and sometimes it's not. You have to understand that prove right or prove the customer wrong. Your job is to be genuinely sorry that the customer had an experience that didn't meet their expectations,
right,
regardless of whose responsibility it was. The best people at customer service are people who, at the molecular DNA level, are people that like to make their happy. That's the best kind of person to put in a customer service role, because they don't get caught up in the he said, she said, you're right, we're right, you're wrong, Mr. Customer, because you didn't read the fine print or whatever. They're sorry because the customer's unhappy and they're going to make it right. That's the kind of personalities that do best at customer service.
Right. So true. And so if we're seeking a certain type of personality, what kind of recruiting strategies would be most effective to identify that? Because I believe that a job interview is a big facade. You know, the company comes telling you great things about what they do when their culture is really poor, and the employee comes putting their best foot forward, not really showing you the true characteristics of who they are.
Yeah, the nice thing is I think you can model those scenarios fairly easily, right? You can give somebody in an interview situation, just give them a piece of paper and say, okay, here's 3 actual customer complaints that we've had in the last week. Maybe one's through email, one's on Twitter, and one's on the phone. You've got a transcript of it or whatever, and just have them write out what they would say.
Nice.
You know, they may not know all the ins and outs of the company. It doesn't matter. That's irrelevant, right? Like, how would you handle this person as a person? Mm-hmm. And you can learn an awful lot about somebody's skills as a potential customer service representative just through an exercise like that.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. All right. So in terms of if you were to be giving another business owner some advice on customer experience, let's say they were sitting across a table from you, what are some important considerations that you would tell them to take into account for their online business to be successful?
So customer experience, when you think about customer, you know, the broader customer experience of which customer service is a part of it, customer experience is all about expectations. In fact, it's only about expectations. Every single customer you have and every single customer you will ever have has in their head an expectation of how every interaction with your business will go. Now, they may not be able to write it down. They may not be able to even describe it, but it's there, right? It's emotionally there. You have an expectation for how the podcast is going to go, an expectation for how your meal at a restaurant is going to go. You just do. It's human nature. So your job as a business person is to understand what those baseline expectations are and find ways to exceed them in very specific, very powerful, very memorable ways. And if you can do that, if you can exceed customer expectations in a way that that's where great customer experiences lie. Great customer experiences are when the business delivers more than the customer expects. And that more can be almost anything. It can be more affordable. It can be more fast. It can be more personal. It can be more fun. It can be more many things, but it's got to be more than what the customer expects. And when you do that, that's what creates great customer experience. When expectations are exceeded, that's where he says, you know what, I should tell somebody else about that. And that word of mouth could come actually out of there, or it could be on Facebook, or it could be on a review site, or it could be any number of places.
Nice. All right. What's the one online resource, tool, website, or app that you couldn't live without in your own business?
Wow, that's a good question. We use a lot. I mean, my company's all virtual, so we've got people all over the world, and we never even have meetings or phone calls. And so we use a lot of software. I mean, we probably have 200 different software licenses in my small company of 12 people. So just to give you a sense of how much software we use to run this business, probably just because it's the one that we use every day, like all the time, we use a virtual office tool called Sococo. SOCOCO. And it's always up on our computers. And each person has a virtual office, just like in a regular office environment. And then we use it almost like you'd use Skype. So we have chat, we have video chat, we have screen sharing, those kind of things. And that's really how we communicate minute to minute, hour to hour, day to day, because we have people all over the world.
Nice. Very cool. So that's an app that anyone can access if they're choosing to use in their business. And the mere fact that you said you're 12 people, I'm assuming that it can suit small companies as well as medium to large companies, right?
Absolutely. In fact, I would say that they're probably best suited for companies of 75 fewer.
Oh, okay. Nice. How do you stay motivated every day, Jay?
Well, here's the thing. I am really lucky to be in an industry, online marketing, social media marketing, content marketing, online customer service, that literally changes every day. I mean, I would have a hard time if I was in a business where the pace of change was not alive. And I mean, just think about something like Facebook, right? I mean, every week, Facebook makes some change every week. So you have to really stay on top of things. And if you don't, then all of a sudden you don't really know what's going on and you're not an effective consultant. You're not good at it. So it's easy to stay at it. Would have that kind of sense of constant urgency.
Right. Awesome. Okay. So basically, I guess the opportunity that is constantly changing is what motivates you to continually focus on what you're doing, right? It charges you up each day.
For sure. And also, I just love teaching people. So a few years ago, like 10 years ago, my plan was to go teach at university. I was going to go be a marketing professor or something like that because I really love to teach. My parents were educators. And I didn't do that. I started this company instead. But I realized a few years ago that I actually am an educator, right? Between books and our blog and speaking and my podcast and all the other things that I do, I essentially am what I do. What in the classroom. It's online, but it's the same dynamics. And to me, that is just an incredible honor. And I really, really enjoy it and appreciate it. And everybody who, visits our blog or reads a book or listens to the podcast, it is just a tremendous honor to, have somebody spend even 1 minute reading into my stuff. I don't take it lightly.
Nice. Very cool. So apart from the ones that you've written, because I'm sure those have had a big impact on you, what are some of the books that have had the biggest impact on you that, helped to basically hone your skills, hone your mindset into who you are today?
Oh, absolutely. There's so many. There's a great one called Different, and it is a terrific business book about how businesses create differentiation in the marketplace by telling stories about themselves that make them not like everybody else in their competitive set. It's a really good book, easy to read for a business book. I really like it. That's a terrific one. It's called Different. One of my good friends is Rory Vaden, and Rory's a discipline strategist and speaker and author, and he's got a relatively new book that came out not long ago called Procrastinate on Purpose. It's all about how to manage your time really effectively and how to spend your time on the things that have the greatest impact on your life. And it has been a huge, huge help to me. I really, really like it. And I recommend it to lots of people, especially people who are busy or always running around. It's a terrific book and will literally change the way you think about time and your priorities.
Nice. Who is the author of Different?
Her last name is Moon. It's Young Me Moon.
Okay.
And she's head of the business school at Harvard.
Very cool. And you Procrastinate on Purpose, the author of that one?
It's Rory Vaden, Vaden.
Vaden. Okay, great. So Different by Youngie Moon and Procrastinate on Purpose by Rory Vaden.
Those are my two picks.
Great. Awesome. So those of you listening out there, definitely go and grab those two books and also the books that Jay has written, specifically Hug Your Haters, How to Embrace Complaints and Keep Your Customers. It will definitely put you ahead of what you're doing right now. Now, we have a lot of listeners, Jay, who are business owners and managers who feel they have great products and services, kind of like what you were saying a while ago in terms of what the research says, but they lack the constantly motivated human capital. If you are sitting across the table from that person, what's one piece of advice that you would give them to have a successful business as it relates to motivating their human capital?
I think the challenge that a lot of business owners face, and myself as well, is that our tendency is to try to motivate everybody collectively. Is to say, we're going to put this policy in place or this incentive in place or this program in place. And if we do that, it's going to motivate everybody. But it won't, because people's motivations are inherently individual. And you can have a team of 12 like mine, or a team of 4, or a team of 500, or any number. And what drives and motivates each person will differ quite a bit. Some people are motivated by money. Some people are motivated by respect. Some people are motivated by time off so they can spend more time with their loved ones. Other people are motivated by reputation. So there's lots of different ways to do it. And the key, the greatest managers in the world do, is they understand or find out or determine what motivates each person. And instead of saying, here's the policy for the company, they put incentives and programs in place at the individual personal level to motivate each person instead of trying to motivate everybody all together.
Yeah, that's a really good one. That's a great nugget, guys. I hope you're listening to Jay. That was a really good one.
And as a small business, you can actually pull that off, right? In bigger companies, it can sometimes be hard because bigger companies like, well, we have to have a corporate policy, right? That is applied universally to all team members. And that, of course, then results in some people being motivated by that policy and other people like, I don't care one way or the other. But in a small business where no one's going to say, hey, this is unfair or whatever, you really can go through and say, okay, let's motivate people based on what they truly care about. And your results will be much, much better.
Very true.
In fact, I've done a program in the past where we actually had sort of like 5 bonuses, right? So if you meet this particular threshold, and it could be customer satisfaction scores or anything else in a customer service, customer experience context, if you meet this particular threshold, here's 5 things that we could do for you. We could give you money, we could give you time off, we could give you a new title, et cetera, et cetera. And you just let people pick their own bonus. Here's 5 things. Pick which one you want.
You make them feel like they're choosing something that's of interest to them. Because at the end of the day, they're also your internal customers, right?
100%. That's exactly right. And so what do you care? Like, just give them multiple choice and say, okay, if this happens, then you get to pick something from this list.
Awesome. That's so great. So apart from doing all of those things to motivate your internal customers, if the leader is still not connecting with his people and he's just not getting the results that he's hoping to get, do you think that sometimes it needs to be turned internally and the leader needs to work on himself as a result before he can actually output with his team members?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially when it comes to what I call in the book a culture of hospitality, right? That, any company, by following the lessons in Hug Your Haters and listening to this podcast and things of that nature, any company can be good at customer service. But only companies that really believe in hospitality, that really believe in customers, will be great at customer service. Being great at customer service requires more than knowledge. It requires a true belief in customers and that all of this makes sense. It is at the cultural level more so than the expertise level. Mm-hmm. And that culture is always set by the leader. Always. And so I tell people all the time who say, well, we really want to get better at customer service. Thanks for writing the book. And we really appreciate the workshop or whatever. But our problem is our boss just doesn't believe it. And I said, well, you can probably only take so far. If your leadership doesn't embrace these principles, then there's only so much that you can do. And you're absolutely right. In some cases, the leader has to work on him or herself to make that happen. It's difficult, of course, for team members to say that to the leader, and certainly difficult in some cases for them to make that happen.
Right. But then again, over time, if the leader doesn't adjust his own style and his own, personality to accept that there are things about him, because I find people are very quickly to point fingers at what's going wrong and what's not going right. But sometimes they're not looking at what their contribution is to what's not going wrong and what's. Of
course.
And so as a result, you lose
I'm
really
guilty
good
of that
talent.
all the time myself.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, a lot of things that we don't do well are because I didn't do it well at the beginning. Luckily, my team is very consistent and people hardly ever leave, and everybody sort of tolerates my inadequacies and covers them up. But no question, like a lot of things that are not perfect are because I did something or didn't set it up right or didn't put people in a place that they could succeed, et cetera. So there's no question. The reality is that some leaders will have an awakening and be like, hey, how come all my good people keep leaving?
Right.
Maybe I'm the problem. Some leaders, and I've seen it happen, will come to that realization. And other leaders, frankly, will never figure that out. And they will continue to churn people forever. And sometimes they're lucky and it doesn't really hurt them that bad, or they've got a unique enough product or service that they can get away with that. I think everybody knows in their personal life or in their business life, companies that are not very good but still succeed. It happens, right? It's unfortunate, but it definitely happens because sometimes you just get lucky and you don't have to be great. You can get by with being mediocre. And the same thing is true with leaders. I mean, if every company was helmed by great leaders, the world would be a lot different, but it isn't.
That is true. That is true. All right. Could you share with us what you're working on now? One thing you're working on in your life right now that you're really excited about? Maybe something you're working on to develop yourself or your people?
I am working on, it's funny, I just worked on it before we turned on the recording. I give lots of speeches. As you know, I do 60 or so events a year. Other people on my team, on our consulting team, also do a little bit of speaking, but I want them to do more and they want to do more. So we're working on like a 6-month program where I am training the other people who work with me to become better and more effective speakers and to hone a particular topic that they can take out there in conferences and events all around the world and educate business people the same way that I do. So just started that program, really excited about it.
Wow, that's awesome. So that's actually you working on developing your own people. I love
Exactly.
it. I love it. That's awesome.
Which benefits me, right? I mean, obviously it benefits them, but it certainly benefits me as well. So it's one of those win-wins, right?
Of course. I'm a firm believer that in an organization, your people need to grow because your company isn't your tagline or your logo or your building, but it's your people. And if your people grow, your company will grow as a result.
Yeah, that's what I love about social media, actually, is that, every company is a collection of great people. At least some of them are great. And social media lets you prove that, right? Social media gives you the ability to be more human, people to kind of get a little glimpse inside your organization and get a feel for those people. That's really special.
Yeah, that's awesome. So can you tell our listeners where they can find you online? If they want to connect with you outside of this interview, how can they get in touch with you?
Lots of places. The best place to go is convinceandconvert.com. That's convinceandconvert.com. That's our main site. It has our 6 different podcasts that we produce. We have a bunch of blog posts every week about all things customer service and online marketing, daily email newsletter, webinars, white papers, ebooks, all kinds of stuff, all for free. Convinceandconvert.com. And then the book website is hugyourhaters.com. If you go there and you buy the book, just send me a receipt and I'll send you some special bonus stuff you can't get anywhere else.
Oh, nice. Okay, so I guess I should send you my receipt then. But I didn't buy it from your website. I bought it from Amazon.
You buy it from anywhere. You just send me the receipt from Amazon, from your local bookstore, whatever.
Oh, great. Awesome. So, guys, I'm going to encourage you, all of you that are listening out there, Jay is an awesome person if you really want to revamp your business and get going, regardless of your size, regardless of your age of business. He is a great resource tool. So if you bought the book or you're planning to buy the book, as he said, just send him the receipt and we're here to support you in that journey at navigating the customer experience. So before we wrap up, Jay, we normally ask our guests to share a quote or a saying, something that kind of motivates them or re-energizes them when they face a difficulty or a challenge or an obstacle. So do you have one of those that you kind of revert to every now and again?
Oh, I do. In fact, I revert to it so much, I'm looking at it right now. It's on a plaque on my wall in my office, and I've had it for at least 10 years, maybe longer. My mom bought it for me a long time ago, and it says, "Except that some days you're the pigeon and some days you are the statue." And I really, really like that quote because it really reminds me that, if things are going great, they're probably not going quite as great as you think. And if things are going terrible, they're probably not going quite as terrible as you think. And it really reminds me to try and keep an even keel in the sort of emotional roller coaster of business.
Awesome. Great. So just repeat it again for me.
Some days you're the pigeon and some days you're the statue.
Some days you're the pigeon, some days you're the statue. So very simple, yet very deeply profound, right?
I think so.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you so much, Jay. I really enjoyed our interview. I hope you did too.
I did. Thank you so much for having me.
Just sharing with you, it's so wonderful to know that there are other people around the globe that are passionate about customer experience and that are so willing to share their knowledge and their experience with the rest of the world. The fact that you've taken so much time to develop such great people, have such a wonderful business, you have the platforms that we can interface with, and you have the products that we can use to help to grow our businesses and help to grow our personalities and develop ourselves and be a better version of ourselves. Every morning that we get up, we have an opportunity to do better and be better. And I just want to say thank you very much for that. I am grateful that you've taken the time to come and be interviewed on our podcast, Navigating the Customer Experience. And I hope that we will be able to interface with you so much more going forward.
Me too. Thanks so much. It was my pleasure.
Great. So thanks again for listening, all of our listeners out there. Just wanted to remind you that you can head on over to Facebook and join our Facebook group. It's a private group for our past guests and our listeners. It's called Navigating the Customer Experience Community. And feel free to follow us on Twitter at NavigatingCX. So until next time, thank you for joining us. And I'm your host, Yannick Grant. We really appreciate your support of this podcast. If you want to grow your business even more or improve your leadership skills or train your team members in the art of customer service with skills such as empowerment, speed, identifying and understanding customer needs, handling your customer complaints, and also learning more about your customer lifetime value through our customer retention value calculator, please visit our website at yannickgrant.com or give us a call at 305-848-0815 or send us an email at yannick@navigatingthecustomerexperience.com. We also provide our clients with extensive research data about what really happens in their business and how their customers actually feel through our mystery shopping and customer satisfaction surveys. We will visit the branches, we test through telephone calls and email correspondence, and we provide you with a full report filled with graphs and data that can be used as strategies to improve your customer experience and Net Promoter Score. We are here to help you and be your partner for change. Please head on over to Facebook and come join in on our Facebook group, Navigating the Customer Experience Community, where all our past guests and subscribers hang out and share insightful information on customer experience, personal development, business growth, customer journey mapping, technology, and so much more. Remember to tune in weekly through your podcast app if you are an Apple user, Stitcher Radio, or SoundCloud for Android users, and you can also listen directly from our website, yannickgrant.com. Please feel free to share with your friends and family.
Thanks for listening. For more awesome resources to take your customer service game to another level, head over to navigatingthecustomerexperience.com. See you next time.